What's going on, Reef Builders? I'm Jake Adams. Welcome back to a very quick follow-up video on the Nano Reef tank, because we're about to get in here and do some work, some maintenance. We're gonna eradicate some Aiptasia, propagate a few zoanthids and pop them in the tank. But we wanna talk a little bit about kind of our unique Aiptasia assassination technique. And we do the same thing that everyone else does as far as using a hypodermic syringe of some kind, but then we use something completely different. This is sodium hydroxide, also known as lye. So it's incredibly toxic, gives kalkwasser a run for its money, but we have found this to be incredibly effective, but it's also super dangerous. So don't try this at home. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. We're gonna try to tell you some of the pitfalls that we try to avoid, but if you do try it, do it at your own risk. So we use a hypodermic syringe. We have a premixed solution of sodium hydroxide here. And it's really important when you're working on the aquarium not to have it over your tank, because if this whole thing spills in your tank, you might kiss a lot of your fish and corals goodbye. So just like everybody else, we're just gonna turn the water pump off and open up the top and start killing some Aiptasia. So this stuff is really thick, so I like to give it a little mix, and it takes a minute for it to actually come up into the syringe. So I'll pull up the syringe all the way and then just actually wait for it to pull up. So I don't really want to turn this into a complete tutorial on how to kill Aiptasias with target chemicals. But one thing to know about sodium hydroxide is you would think that adding this to your aquarium would just crazy raise the pH, but it's, at the end of the day, it's just sodium and hydroxide. And the way that we add it in such a small little localized section, it creates a kind of like a gel. It's almost like a precipitate that it's not good if one of those little flakes gets on a coral, within about 10 seconds, but it's also not the end of the world, right? But really just advise against this, especially in a smaller tank. We have a lot of experience using this, but I'm gonna let cameraman Evan get to sniping some Aiptasia, and we're gonna roll over and check out some of the corals we're gonna propagate and put in this tank. Now that we've taken care of some of the Aiptasia, we've rejiggered just a couple corals in there and made a nice canvas where I want to put some of my favorite zoanthids. These are the Palithoa grandis. So let me tell you a little bit about them. One thing, I can switch white balance midstream. There we go. So you can see I've got quite a variety. This is one that stays doo-doo brown no matter what I do. This is kind of like your more pedestrian, run-of-the-mill, been around forever. That's why I have a lot. And this is also the one that I've shared the most, so that I have a small frag of it already. This is one that I grew from a single polyp. I must have gotten this back in 2008, 2009, and I grew it to about this size, and then something happened and it completely died back. And I was able to save one polyp, and I got it to stick, and now it's growing back out again. This is a really cool variety that has some neon green tentacles, but it's like every other tentacle. And this one I remember vividly getting from a Reef creation from my buddy Randy O, and just really liked it because I had the stripes. And then this morning I got a couple more colonies. I got these from Reef Pro. So this one right here and this one right here didn't enjoy his ride nearly as much. So we're just gonna take probably that one and that one and that one and just separate a couple frags, but we're gonna have to be really careful because zoanthids are, as you know, some of the most toxic. Palithoa are the most toxic among all of those, and we're gonna take all the precautions we need to propagate these. And then the last piece is some, this is my utter chaos. I've been growing it on a tile here. I think what I can do is just pop off the central tile, again carefully, and put that whole center tile into the tank so we'll have a nice frag. So we're gonna get suited up with some gloves and some safety gear, and by we I mean me, and we're gonna propagate a couple of these. All right, so before I get started, I will admit that I don't really frag zoanthids that often. I don't have very strong reactions. That's why I try to put on some gloves, but they didn't fit. But it's really important to cover your eyes, keep your mouth closed, maybe use a face shield if you're working with zoanthids. And like I said, I haven't fragged zoanthids because why would you if there's a casual request? They usually tend to spread and you can break up the rock. These guys are really tough dials. So we have a couple pieces that are already loose. This one is so dense that I don't even want to go there, right? There's not any kind of separation between the polyps. So this one, I'm just not going to go there. This one right here has some sponge inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and tease apart some of this sponge without messing up the coral itself, because I know this one is separated, but yeah, people who introduce sponge into their tanks. But yeah, this one actually comes off pretty easily, and I think I'll be able to separate some of this a little bit more. This is just what happens when you leave the colonies alone for a long time. Oh God, I hate sponges. But I think what I'm going to be able to do is scrape it away enough of this sponge here to just go ahead and kind of cut through part of this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's see where we at here. That's a good little section. I'm just going to go for it right here. Oh, a coral's not gonna like that. All right, so we got a little cut here, I'm pretty sure. All right, let's see if we can free up this little piece. Oh yeah, there we go. It's so fleshy, and it's probably encrusted onto this rock too, so let's just see how that goes. Man. Pull out that sponge as much as I can and reach for some skizzers to finish up the rest. There we go. This is so tough. This is why I haven't wanted to do this. And so, hey, there we go. That wasn't so bad. You can see all that sponge left in there. So I need to go back in here and do some cleanup. And yeah, we've got a nice little piece here. Pull off all the unwanted sponge, and that piece is ready for rehoming. We're gonna leave that one alone, and this one, kind of a similar idea. I think what I'm gonna do is just kind of cut down the middle and just try to get, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go for halfsies, because you can see it's a disc, it's a coral disc that I glued kind of vertically. So I'm just gonna try to ride the razor along it and just kind of gently cut off, there we go, where it's been growing. And then back underneath, do a little bit of the same. It's not that encrusted on this side. And there we go. Not too bad. They're super fleshy. This slime is not You do not want to get this slime anywhere near you. And it's probably a good idea to let the coral slough off somewhere else as much as possible before putting it back into the tank. So that's what we're gonna do with the pieces we will be using. I'm gonna put these in the tray with some water, and we're gonna let the slime really come off before we put them in the tank. All right, so we've got a few of our fresh cut pieces of sun polyp, and then one small colony that's kind of been hanging out, and then a small piece of utter chaos. So not super sure exactly where I want all of these things, but the utter chaos is got a ragworm on the bottom of it, so we got to get rid of him before we can glue him down anywhere. And there we go. Just gonna give it a big old glob. These guys have been in a high energy environment, so they haven't really been getting as big and juicy as they can, but I'm really leaning towards go ahead and letting that guy live right there. Look at those mean clownfish, just going for it. Okay, I think I'll be all right with that. Oh man, look at them. They're such buttholes. Woo! And then this was kind of like, I would say like the lower grade Polyptoa. So I'm just gonna put him down there, let him sort it out, how he wants to open up. And then these other three were all very nice. Man, those guys are vicious. And we'll turn off the water flow so they don't knock off our zoanthids. This is not the most, I guess, exciting part of reef keeping, is just kind of putting some zoanthids around, but I think that'll be a good spot right there. Nice dab of coral glue. The tissue of these Polyptoa is really thick, so you don't always have to have a piece of base like some of these have. And that's kind of the exception. A lot of zoanthids really want some base. I think there's gonna be some room for a little bit more. So we're gonna put you, oh yeah, I got room for all kinds more pallies in here. And then one more. This is the one I've cut up. Maybe put him, yeah, I think I'm gonna put him right there. With these guys, I'm trying to mount some of them a little bit lower so that as they grow, they can kind of migrate up the stream, up the hill. All right, so I think that's gonna about do it for the Polyptoa cutting session. I didn't use any gloves, so I'm gonna take very good care to wash the bejesus out of my hands. You guys take all necessary precautions whenever you're handling zoanthids, but especially Polyptoa, and then especially Polyptoa granis, because they slime like crazy. So this was just kind of like a working video, and very close to this one, we're gonna show you how all the corals settle in. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll see you very soon.